Hare Krishna, welcome to our channel Bhagavad-gita. Here it is, because we have it, Bhagavad-gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and my name is Bhagavad-gita. We are reading from the 13th chapter, and today it's text 13 as well, and where Krishna says that when we know what he will speak about here, we will taste the eternal. So that's what we're going to try for today.
Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalang.
I will read the Sanskrit. Gyeyang yattat pravakshyami tajgyatva mrittamashnute anadimat parang brahma nasat Tanasad uchyate. This is still Krishna speaking. I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal. Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. Gyatva, knowing, amritam, nectar, ashnuti, one tastes. Anadi, beginningless. So, I have not studied Sanskrit, but when we read these books, they are obviously written in Sanskrit, and when we read them, we need the translations to understand things completely, but we also pick up a little bit the terms, and I'm sometimes wishing I would have started this much earlier so I could have been a student and understood it properly. The thing is, even if you study it and you study it and you study it, the full grasp of the meaning comes when you're in contact with somebody who has that full grasp. Like Prabhupada is giving us Krishna consciousness because he has Krishna consciousness. But here, Ashnuti, one tastes, Amritam, the nectar, we will be able to not just know a lot of words, but we will be able to experience the dynamic living nature of spiritual life. That is what Krishna is telling us. Purport: the Lord has explained the field of activities and the knower of the field. He has also explained the process of knowing the knower of the field of activities. Now he begins to explain the knowable, first the soul and then the supersoul. By knowledge of the knower, both the soul and the supersoul, one can relish the nectar of life. As explained in the 2nd chapter, the living entity is eternal. This is also confirmed here. There is no specific date at which the jiva, which is Sanskrit word for the living entity, the soul, that which the jiva was born, nor can anyone trace out the history of the Jiva Atma's manifestation from the Supreme Lord. Therefore it is beginningless. The Vedic literature confirms this. Na jayate mriyate va vipaschit, Katha Upanishad. The knower of the body is never born and never dies, and he is full of knowledge. So that is us. We are eternal. There is no way to find where we started. Even in this material world, this body was of course born on a specific date, which is noted, and we hear about it and we remember it, at least in our culture. My father comes from Greece, and at that time at least they didn't take the exact birthday so seriously, so whenever they got around to it they would register the birthday. But certainly they knew that someone is born, because before that he wasn't there. So that is this body, this life starts at a specific point. But before that, most likely there was another life, and before that there was another life. And Supersoul, Krishna in our heart, he keeps track, he knows exactly everything. We don't. And if we have had repeated births and deaths throughout the entire manifestation of this creation, I like those numbers also. We read that previously, that Brahma at this point, he He's around 50 years old out of his 100 years, and his lifetime is very long. His day even is very long. We hear that when we speak about these ages, we have Kali Yuga, which is our present age. It is 436,000 years. Then we have Dvapara Yuga, the one previously, which is twice as long. We have Treta Yuga, which is 3 times as long. We have Satya Yuga, which is 4 times as long. Altogether, they're 10 times as long. So that means 4,365,000 years is one cycle of these yugas. Brahma's day is 1,000 times as long as that. And his night is as long. And we're already having a high number. So he lives roughly the same as long as we do. A year is 360 days, something like that. A life is 100 years, something like that. That lifespan is, we can't even understand it. So within that lifetime, this universe has been existing, and we have been born and died over and over again, and possibly we were here for the previous creation as well. Yes, that's when time gets really interesting. This whole creation starts when Mahavishnu, Karanodakashayi Vishnu, lies down in the causal ocean. Every time he breathes out, all the universes are manifesting from his pores. And when he breathes in, they are all absorbed again into his body. So that's 100 years of Lord Brahma at that lifespan that we were just talking about. So that's just breathing in and breathing out from Mahavishnu. But for us, it's a very long time. But we can't remember it. We can't remember it. We can go back. We don't know how far we go back because we can't remember it. But what we do know is we are here now. And now we have the opportunity to be a little introspective about life. Looking at time, looking at existence, looking at birth and death, and old age and disease. Looking at the opportunity to, again, realize our actual spiritual identity, nature, and that whole other plane of life, existence. And probably we cannot go around in our daily life and considering these kind of perspectives. But it's good to sometimes sit down and be a little introspective about life, so that we don't just life doesn't just spin around and we just get distracted and what do you call it? Pulled with it, the current, and we don't just kind of drown in the current of present day affairs, but we realize the spiritual nature of ourselves is probably the most important thing to take seriously in this life. The Supreme Lord, as the Supersoul, is also stated in the Vedic literature, Svetashvatara Upanishad, to be Pradhana Kshetragya Patir Gunesha, the chief knower of the body and the master of the 3 modes of material nature. In the Smriti it is said, Dasa Bhuto Harer Eva Nanyasyaiva Kadachana. The living entities are eternally in the service of the Supreme Lord. This is also confirmed by Lord Chaitanya in his teachings. Therefore, the description of Brahman mentioned in this verse is in relation to the individual soul, and when the word Brahman is applied to the living entity, it is to be understood that he is Vijnana Brahma as opposed to Ananda Brahma. Ananda Brahma is the Supreme Brahman, personality of Godhead. Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. Those are Krishna's words in this verse. And of course, even if I would have studied a bit of Sanskrit, and even if I would have been able to understand the grammar and the how to say, you have a word and then sometimes it means how that happened in the past or how that relates to something else, and from the grammar you can understand how the words are put together. But these kind of concepts here, just given in a few lines of words, it's not something you can just understand because you're a little smart or you know a little Sanskrit. You need to hear them from somebody who has that realization. And Krishna here is speaking to Arjuna because he's giving him that knowledge that Arjuna is asking for. I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal. Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. So that's us. We're that tiny little soul. We're subordinate to Krishna. We're very small. We very easily get swept away by the current of this material existence. At the same time, Brahman, the spirit, is beginningless and beyond the cause and effect of this material world. Yet, we're beyond this material world. But you wouldn't know that from just looking at us when we're here running around like a hamster wheel, so entangled, so caught up. And it doesn't just help to just read Bhagavad-gita once. I can also get caught up. I'm looking at the news. I'm looking at the people who are supposed to be running this world and their absolute lack of character and knowledge and respect. I'm thinking, whoa, we have to do something about this. And then I read Bhagavad-gita. It doesn't mean you turn your back on the world. Of course, if we're in the position to do something good, we should do it. But most important of all is that we grasp this little thing. We are spirits, beginningless, beyond the cause and effect of this material world. We don't have to be stuck here, figuring out how to pay our bills, figuring out how to get a job, figuring out how to find somebody in this world that we can relate to. Because we actually have Krishna. And in the spiritual world, we don't just have Krishna. We are all together serving Krishna with our other friends in the spiritual world. This is available to us. But we have to kind of stop and be a little introspective, sink into, absorb ourselves in the message of Krishna that Krishna is giving in the Bhagavad-gita. This isn't just some I was going to say this isn't just some story. This isn't even so much of a story as a description, but it's not just a philosophical text full of words. This is the reality of who we actually are. And now we are human beings. Now we have access to intelligence and language, and now we have access to Krishna's Bhagavad-gita. So let's dive deeply into it. I hope you can have your own Bhagavad-gita so you can read it on your own as well. And because it's nice, you can go back and forth, you can reflect on these verses, you can bring them into your daily life. And I also hope you will come back here so we can read Bhagavad-gita together another time. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. Subscribe.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.